be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
Recently leaked footage from Gervonta Tank Davis's training camp has taken the boxing world by storm. The clips show Davis going toe-to-toe with sparring partners far above his natural weight class, men built like heavyweights, towering over him in both size and reach.
Stop going up and let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The newly surfaced clips highlight Tank's fearless mindset. He's seen testing his power against fighters who outweigh him by dozens of pounds, pushing himself to match their force with timing and precision. Each round shows his refusal to be defined by size or category. In recent weeks, reports have confirmed that Gervonta has been training with a lineup of massive sparring partners, men known for their knockout power and pressure. His camp intentionally brought in heavyweights and brawlers to simulate the challenge ahead. Every session becomes a battle of strength and endurance, forcing Davis to adapt, to use angles, timing, and speed against brute power. The result. Jake Paul, meanwhile, continues to prove that his rise in boxing is no accident. Every move he makes is calculated, every opponent, every narrative, every bit of controversy serves a purpose. Jake doesn't pick random fights, he builds spectacles that balance advantage with uncertainty. He's mastered the art of keeping fans guessing, stacking the odds while still leaving enough danger to make every bout feel unpredictable. This constant tension between control and risk is what fuels his success. He knows how to turn criticism into curiosity, and curiosity into pay-per-view gold. His fights aren't just about the punches thrown, they're about the storylines he crafts, stories that make people tune in, argue, and anticipate chaos when the bell finally rings.
Guys, what's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Because when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and they're about to fight. It just feels like Jake Paul is always picking fights where he has a massive advantage. Like now he's fighting Gervonta Davis, who's, I don't know how much smaller, but probably close to like 80 pounds smaller, which is a crazy, significant weight advantage for Jake Paul. Now, you have to also look at the other way. Gervonta has a crazy advantage over Jake Paul. He has incredible amount of skill, more years of training. For sure, pound for pound, he would mop the floor with Jake Paul. But this is what makes the fight exciting. And two guys fighting, and we don't know who's going to win. Guys, what's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Is when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And they're about to fight. Somebody's about to say go, and these guys got to go at it. So that's what makes a fight exciting. So this is kind of that. Because if they were the same weight, none of us would tune in. We'd be like, this is just a punching bag for Gervonta. It doesn't make the fight exciting. But because Jake Paul is so big, so much bigger, it makes the fight.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has voiced serious concerns about this matchup, calling it a dangerous line between sport and spectacle. In his eyes, boxing's soul lies in pure competition's skill, fairness, and discipline, not in the theatrics of social media hype. Hearn argues that the Davis-Paul fight leans too heavily toward entertainment, blurring the line between a real contest and a commercial event. The size and weight disparity are impossible to ignore. Jake Paul, naturally bigger and stronger, versus Gervonta Davis, a product of the lighter divisions built on speed, accuracy, and finesse. To Hearn, the fight symbolizes a troubling trend where business takes priority over authenticity. He warns that when boxing chases views over values, it risks losing the very respect it spent generations earning.
That there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then. But I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round. I don't know what it is, but you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. Now, whether you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi offers a more grounded perspective. He reminds everyone that this is not a traditional professional bout, it's an event designed to entertain. There are no rankings, no title implications, and no long-term career consequences on the line. This is a show, he explains bluntly. It's a spectacle. Paulie sees it as a reflection of modern boxing's evolution, where social media influence often outweighs championship belts. He acknowledges the frustration of purists who feel boxing's integrity is being overshadowed by viral moments, yet he also admits that this shift is part of the sport's new reality. The spotlight today shines not only on skill but on charisma, personality, and marketing.
Guy, when I watch it, I don't. I just think he's fighting opponents that, you know, are not with it anymore or are too small for him and whatnot. But in this situation, it is an exhibition. So you've got to keep in mind that this could be set up. This could be like WWE. This one could be set up. I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but this is not a sanctioned fight, champ. This is an exhibition. And an exhibition means you cannot bet on it. You cannot bet on the result. If you remember, this is why they changed the Mike Tyson fight from an exhibition to a real fight, because they realized, you know, an exhibition, you could stage it and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions, who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that, as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Who would you think should win that fight? Would you think that Davis should be able to get in there, even though the size did 100 pounds? Do you think he should be able to do it?
If they don't stage it and don't kind of set up a sort of a mild sparring session, I'd say Davis has a chance. Depends on the size of the gloves. Because here's the thing, Jake is probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy. You know, that's a lot of weight, Carl. You know, you've been in a boxing ring, that still counts. And if you make the gloves small, Gervonta could technically hurt Jake even if he hits him. But the problem is, the gloves are small. Jake could also hurt Gervonta because Gervonta's so small. Gervonta's so much smaller than him. You know, so you make the gloves big, and then really, who's got that advantage? I don't know. You know, technically Gervonta's a lot better boxer, but he's so much smaller. I've stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy. It's like I said, it's a bit of a circus freak show, and that's why I don't put it out of the question that this exhibition could be a bit staged in the ring.
Wade Plemons, host of The Wade Concept, dives deeper into Jake Paul's psychology. He calls Jake a master manipulator, someone who knows how to weaponize fame, ego, and attention. Jake doesn't just fight opponents, he controls narratives. He lures rivals into his orbit using money, exposure, and emotional bait. Wade points out that Gervonta Davis, despite his championship status, couldn't resist the offer, the attention, the payday, and the chance to silence Jake once and for all. For Jake, every fight is bigger than boxing. It's about domination on every level, physical, mental, and media-driven. He doesn't just aim to win in the ring, he wants to win the conversation that follows.
Also, and again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. But this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewer that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. He's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
Amid all the media frenzy, Gervonta Davis remains locked in. Those close to his camp describe him as calm, laser-focused, and unshaken by the noise. His preparation is pure and disciplined, no shortcuts, no distractions. Training footage shows him sparring men who tower over him, taking hits and firing back with sharp counters that remind everyone why he's called Tank. Reporters who've seen him up close note that his demeanor hasn't changed, he's quiet, composed, and deadly serious. For Davis, this fight is more than a paycheck, it's a statement. He wants to prove that true boxing timing, precision, and skill still beats theatrics and brute force.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road, and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belt and all of that.
As fight night approaches, the boxing world stands divided. Traditionalists see this bout as a mockery, a marketing stunt that cheapens the sport. Others, however, see it as evolution, a way to bring fresh audiences into boxing's aging fan base. Supporters of Davis argue that he's fighting for the purity of boxing, to expose the gap between trained professionals and celebrity athletes. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's fans defend his impact, claiming he's revitalized interest in a sport that had grown stagnant. This clash isn't just between two fighters, it's between two philosophies: art versus entertainment, legacy versus visibility. Regardless of who wins, Jake has already succeeded in his ultimate goal, getting everyone talking.
And number 3, to retire.
I mean, the backlash is just what people do nowadays. That's just, you give somebody a keyboard, you give them a phone, and they able to hide their face. Yeah, they gonna have a field day. The backlash I get, I understand. Would you say number 2, not fight Shakur?
Yeah, he's saying he'll never fight Shakur. That he ain't gonna do him no favors. That he ain't gonna help him make no money because Shakur broke or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't get all that. That's, you know what I mean. That's against the game. Like, you know what I mean. You at least owe that fight for the game. You know what I mean. You owe the rematch to Lamont for the game, but you owe Shakur for the game just because of the 2 style matchups. You know what I mean. But if he feel like he don't gotta fight him, guess what? We can't sit here and just go crazy about it. But it is kind of crazy. It is kind of corny. You know what I'm saying? If he not gonna fight Shakur, and if he's standing on it like, I'm not ever gonna fight you, I'm not doing you no favors. All right. But then again, you know what? I don't know what them guys got going on. I don't know what they've been through personally. You know what I'm saying? But would I love to see that fight? Hell yeah, I would love to see that fight. And then number 3, you said what? You said
Retirement.
The retirement. Oh, boxing. Boxing. They're around. They're around. There's always gloves around. It's on you. It's on you. I'm chilling. You all right? Yeah, get with me. I know. How you feel? Darkskin boy, that's my man. The retirement is like he done a lot in his career, right? Not everything, but he done a lot. What people don't understand is his business is a lot. This whole experience is a lot. The shit these fighters go through is hard to explain. It's hard to explain because people, they can't see it, so they can't understand it. But it's stressful to the fighters because they coming from just getting ready to fight in the amateurs, being prepared, going out there, win, get it done, celebrate, all right, we back to the next camp. To now, marketing. You're talking about marketing. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about all this shit that you just never imagined. You like, why do I have to deal with it?
The outcome of this fight could reshape boxing's entire landscape. If Jake Paul pulls off a victory, it could open the floodgates for more influencer versus pro matchups high on spectacle, low on structure. Star power might begin to outweigh ranking, and storytelling could eclipse merit. But if Gervonta Davis wins decisively, it could mark a turning point, a return to respect for experience, mastery, and traditional craft. This fight has become more than a contest of fists, it's a referendum on what boxing truly is in the modern age. Traditionalists crave the art, the discipline, the technique. The new generation craves excitement, unpredictability, and chaos. Jake Paul thrives on that chaos, turning every swing, every stare down, every press conference into a global moment. Love him or hate him, people watch.
The purists hate it, the algorithm loves it, and both will watch. It's not just who wins, it's what wins. Will the entertainment value or the ring IQ come out on top? Because if Tank dominates, the meme dies. Jake Paul survives or hits it big, we see new rules are going to be written in real time. Me, you, maybe everyone at some point has been that bigger guy thinking that I'll just bully him. Jab, slip, liver shot, sat me down real nicely. Size helped until it didn't. All I'm saying is, let's not dismiss something because it looks weird. Many fights get decided by the details. Feet before fists, timing before muscle, discipline before clout. Look, Tank wins if he stays Tank. He's built on patience, traps, explosive counters. That's hell for a tall guy who gets eager. Jake's long jab is the gate, but Tank's head movement is the key. Once he times it, the door's getting open and the furniture is going to get rearranged. Think locksmith versus padlock. Big padlock looks scary until the right tool clicks once. Jake throws that overhand like he's bowling with the shoulder. Effective, but you don't see it.
The Davis-Paul showdown challenges the very definition of boxing. It exists in a gray zone, not quite a professional title fight, yet far more serious than a celebrity exhibition. Both men are still in their athletic primes, which makes this spectacle even more intriguing and controversial. Old-school fighters see it as a distortion of boxing structure, while modern fans see it as evolution, a merging of sport and entertainment that keeps boxing relevant. Ultimately, this isn't just about who punches harder or moves faster. It's about identity. Gervonta Davis stands for the discipline and sacrifice that built boxing's legacy. Jake Paul represents the new era, one fueled by media, branding, and ambition. When these worlds collide, only one will shape the sport's next chapter.
Like this, with fighters pretty much in their prime. But other than the size mismatch, most people are wondering why has Tank taken this fight, and those were the first questions targeted to Tank in this presser, because usually these sorts of bouts are relegated to the latter part of your career. And for most Gervonta Davis supporters, they thought they would get the big fights next, the Shakurs. They didn't think he would be fighting Jake Paul. Although Tank tried to push it off as fans should just be happy watching the sport and hey, haters will be haters, I think that's quite unfair to the people who have been loyal supporters of him and honestly have paid his bills. He tried to compare the level of criticism he gets to the likes of Mayweather.
That's all for today's coverage. The stage is set, the tension is real, and the boxing world waits to see which man, the seasoned technician or the fearless disruptor, will define the future of the fight game. Stay tuned.